Say, alright, so first and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahushai, Ba'Shem Rakakadash. We say double honor to Apostle and Elijah Great Musa and Rubel, our teachers, our apostles in the truth, and we say salutations, so I can say the push you with in truth and sincerity, day in and day out, and constantly in season or season. We say Shalom. Once again, going into our video here. And going into, this image that I see on the screen was something I saw this morning, right? And I saw it from a page, and they posted this, and they asked a question, right? And they said, men who carry a lot of responsibility but don't use alcohol, weed, or drugs, what keeps you sane, right? I don't know. What I did was screenshot it, and I said I would do a video on it, right? And when I wanted to touch upon, the Lord is our help. So no matter what it is we're going through, right? No matter what it is we're facing, whatever troubles or whatever trials that may be affecting us at this very moment, hey, we know that these are things that we're to go through, but we know that hey, we just had to turn to the Lord. You understand? And before I continue, let me bring a scripture. Let me go to the book of Psalms, right? This is the book of Psalms, chapter 46, verse 1. It says, God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Right? So that is, we know the Lord is who we have to turn to. The person asked, what keeps us sane? What keeps us going through this everyday life is that we know we have the Lord. Whereas for you all, if you watch the things that Jake put a trust in, right? The person marked men who carry a lot of responsibility but don't use alcohol, weed, or drugs. Things that things that they're not supposed to be making it carry burdens and so forth. It's always things that the more you get stressed, the more that you're going through pain or whatever it may be, you start to abuse it. Next thing you know is a drug head. Next thing you know is an alcoholic. And all these other different drugs they have outside here. There's an example. When you listen to some of the stories and listen to some of the things that why people end up on these heavy drugs and become alcoholic is because they're going through certain troubles, and that is what they turn to. That is what the help is. When for us, we know we have who? The Lord. So what keeps us sane? The Lord. Knowing that we could call upon the Lord. Whatever it may be, they always say God is our refuge and strength. Now when you look up the word refuge, right? Let me get it here. It's a refuge. It's a refuge refers to a condition of being safe, right? And what is scripture saying? God is our refuge, right? It say unsheltered from danger, trouble, or hardship, and as well as the specific physical location or entity, right? Or entity that provides the protection. So who we turn to? Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahushai, right? Whatever it is you may be facing, right? You may be going through hardships with your family, your job, your everyday life, and way beyond that, right? We know who we have to turn to, right? That way it's a men who carry a lot of responsibility, right? Carry all those responsibilities. Hey, we know who's our refuge. That way it's an entity that provides that protection, right? We don't need those drugs, things that basically that wickedness. That's the reason why Jake so messed up in the mind. Because when they're going through the stuff that they're going through, they don't know the Lord, but they know drugs. And it goes to show the difference between us and them. Whereas when we face our hard times, we know we have to turn to the Lord, and they turn to drugs. You see the state of them. You see how the state of us comparing to the state of them. That is why sometimes you may be working, around people, and they be asked, hey, but you going, or someone maybe in a family know the trouble that they're going through, and they could be like, oh, you're moving so normal, you know. If it was me, there is a statement that they would be making, right? If it was me, I would have, something, but you do drink, you do smoke, you do these things, because why? We have the Lord. Now, when I tell them that, even when I remember I did a video, sorry, not a video, right? Same post like this. Same post like this, someone posted, right? And they said they hate to hear when they're going through troubles, when someone tell them to call upon the Lord. They actually hate to hear someone tell them to call upon the Lord. And I see mindset Jacob, but they know what they would turn to: weed, alcohol, drugs. They might go and spend their money on some bullshit, right? So you say refuge. You say the core meanings and context. It's a physical protection, a place to escape physical threats, or like whatever. It's a sanctuary or a haven, right? Aid. It's an action, person, or thing turned to for assistance or relief during a difficult situation. So what keeps us sane when you undertook all these responsibilities, whatever things that we face on our day to day? The Lord. So going back to the book of Psalms, it says God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. What? A very present. The Lord is always there, and that is who we turn to. Whereas you see how Jake be drug addicts, they always want the next high. Facing today they might face something small, they turn to weed. The next they might face something harder, they turn to coke. Then they blowing on balloons and all this other bullshit. It just gets to get worse and worse. Whereas the Lord, as I say here, a very present help in trouble. So we facing things, you're going through stuff. Hey, we know who we have to turn to when we're going through troubles, right? It say, verse 2, it said, therefore, will not we fear, though the earth be removed, and though the mountains be carried into the midst of the sea, though the waters thereof roar and be troubled, though the mountains shake with swelling thereof. Salah. Right? Now I wouldn't continue going down, but what I would do, I'm gonna go to another scripture here, right? And I want to go to another scripture here, and I'm gonna go to same book of Psalms, but I'm gonna go to 121, right? The book of Psalms, chapter 121, and I'll start from verse 1, right? It say, I will lift up mine eyes unto the hills, from whence cometh my help. It say, I will lift up mine eyes unto the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help coming from the Lord, which made heaven and earth. Right? So where our help comes from? The Lord. So that is who we call upon. Right? That is why we wake up in the morning, in the night, throughout the day, you continually praising the Lord. You understand? You continually praising the Lord. You're going through a day, you might be, working. Maybe working, and through the Spirit, you just say, hey, Yahweh, you say, Kalalali, Yahweh, Ba'ashemi Hoshai, Ba'ashemi Kakadash, all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashemi Hoshai, right? And you just, it come in your mind. Sometimes, like, for instance, I may be walking home, and I will look up in the sky and just, hey, say all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashemi Hoshai. Sometimes you might see a chariot flying, 1 or 2 times, you talking to the Lord through the Spirit, and and you see a chariot flying across, the Lord show you something. So that is who we turn to, that is who keeps us sane. When we see only wickedness being done, only evil being done, what keeps us sane? The Lord, because we know we have better to come. But we know we have to go through these things. And we know when we're going through these things, these hardships, these trials, we know who we have to turn to. Right? We know who we have to call upon. That's what the scriptures say, my help coming from the Lord, which made heaven and earth. Will be help coming from the Lord, not weed, not drugs, not alcohol, not Babylon, but our help coming from the Lord. Now let me go to the book of Matthew, right? Matter of fact, before I go to the book of Matthew, let me read Hebrews chapter 13, right? Hebrews 13 verse 6, right? It says, let me read from verse 5. Hebrews chapter 13 verse 5, it says, let your conversation be without covetousness, and be content with such things as ye have. For he had said, I will never leave thee nor forsake thee. So that we may boldly say, that, you hear what it's saying, right? So that we may boldly say, right? The Lord is my helper, and I will not fear what man shall do unto me. Right? And we boldly say. So that's why sometimes somebody might ask, hey, wait, is it, all the things you're going through, who helps you? Hey, the Lord. We just boldly say it. And then at that times you might ask, hey, you're quiet the thing, work, somebody might ask, hey, how you just deal with this stress? How you just deal with these things? And hey, the Lord. That is how we deal with it. Straight out. We'll have nothing else going and help us in this place. Right? Nothing else. Not weed, not drugs. That is only going to make things worse. That's why Jacob never fixed their problems. Because what they're supposed to turn to, right? First, they turn to it last. Right? You're supposed to be seeking the Lord first, not seeking drugs. And then when shit get worse, because why? They turn into the drugs and the alcohol to carry the burdens. When shit get worse, obviously it's going to get worse, right? That is not when they want to turn to the Lord. When shit get bad, when shit get terrible. You understand? So that way it says, so that we may boldly say, the Lord is my helper, and I will not fear what man shall do unto me. Now let me go to the book of Matthew. Matthew chapter 11. Right, and I'm going to read verse 28. I'm going to go straight down to verse. Yeah, I'm going to read down verse 28. Right? It says Matthew 11 verse 28, it says, come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Do what the Lord said, I will give you rest. He said, take my yoke upon you, and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and you shall find rest unto your souls. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light. And that is where it is, man. That is where it is. Knowing all the things that we're going through, facing, that we know who we have to call upon. We know who it is we have to turn to. Jake, these two things outside here is drugs, weed, is whores, they turn to the psychiatrists and all these other things that they go to, and they always leave. The Lord is always the last option. For us, we turn to the Lord first. You understand? First, not last. Because we know our help coming from the Lord. He controls all these things. You understand? Right? So, hey, Once again, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash. We say double on apostle and elders of great mercy and rule, but our teachers are apostles in truth, and we say salutations so the outcomes to the push who do not truth and sincerity. Day in and day out, and constantly in season or out season, we say Shalom.